Welcome back. Now, this year's Six Nations Championship is shaping up to be anyone's call after the hitherto high-flying sides were brought back to earth last weekend. And the hitherto high-flying sides I'm talking about, France, that is, and Ireland.
Yes. I think for Ireland it was a close one.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were brought to the ground as hard as we thought.
Yeah.
They were never in as favorites,
Yeah.
and they surprised everyone. So as for France, France is France. You never bet on them until the last minute. So
unpredictable.
Totally unpredictable. Yeah.
But we did talk about, they weren't convincing in some of their performances. Italy, as I said, the last time around, you know, the Italians dominated possession and territory.
Yes.
And England, France just stole it in the last minute.
Absolutely. And
I don't think France, I think they managed to hold on to it because England fighting to come back there. But why you also feel pity for France? You're playing a defending champion who has lost the previous game they've played. It's always going to be hard on you.
And the form book, it remained intact in the Super Rugby, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Though that got going from week 1 to week 2, yes, it remained intact. But if you look at the result of Lions Stormers, I think many people will have lost their houses on that bet. So, but true to form, it did stay that the Chiefs winning their games, the Sharks staying consistent. The Reds,
the Cheetahs. I was attacked for predicting a Cheetahs win.
It happened. And you have vindicated.
The Bulls have been poor, and this week they have called in Victor Matfield. That's how desperate they are getting.
I think the Bulls coach has pressed the panic button. If you see, he's called back Jacques Louis, 29 years. He last used him in 2010 as a fly half. He's called back Victor Matfield. You look at all these. And on top of that, Louis Foch, he's replaced at 10, didn't even make the 23-man squad. He dropped straight out. So I think there's a lot of panic going on in Bulls, and he seemed to admit it. He said they don't want what has happened in the last 2 weeks to happen again.
Okay. And the weekend fixtures, what do we have on card?
Philip, if you could just look at that quickly.
We'll have, of course, Blues taking on Crusaders, the Rebels taking on the Cheetahs, Stormers Hurricanes, Chiefs there taking on the Highlanders, Force and Brumbies, and of course the Bulls taking on the high-flying Lions.
Okay, and are you going for any team there?
I think we already know the Blues Crusaders result, so that's gone. But in terms of just looking at the Force and Brumbies, Brumbies looking for revenge. Lions, Bulls, for me, the Bulls are still a young side. Okay. They need to admit it that this season they have come for a beating. And they take it graciously.
They need to stop Boshov's kicking to beat the Lions.
Okay. Moving on now, we'll end the show with something that's sure to split opinion. What am I talking about? Well, the Nile Rugby Premiership Team of the Season. And I'll just start off by reading a few teams. We asked the fans to use the Ruck and Roll hashtag on Twitter. And a few of them sent through some of their squads. I have one here from someone who has to remain anonymous. They have Timothy Kabonero at 1. 2, the hooker is Wadum Cyrus. The prop, Brian Odongo, that's at 3. Charles Uhuru is one of the locks, together with Ramadan Govule. Musaja Ronald, I'm not going to read his name out in full, is at 6. 7 is Ezekiel O'Call. 8, Scott Oloch. 9, Chualabye. 10, Ivan Kata Magomu. 11, Alan Otim. 12 is Bijik, the Buffalo's captain. 13 is Oscar Kalyango. And the wing, Justin Kimono, fullback, he gives it to Joseph Aredo. What do you think of his team?
It's a pretty good selection. And I think whoever he is, he would not make a bad coach.
Well, and I also asked Michael Okorach, who is the captain of Heathens, to give me his side. He did give it to me here, but somehow the internet is not acting up. If you could talk us through your team of the season.
Just like the previous the guy, the anonymous gentleman you mentioned, the front row is pretty clear. No contest there. The Cobb's front row was outstanding. Isn't that right, Philip? Yes, the controversial ones is the locks. How does Govule miss out? Charles Uhuru, I think, was dominant in a very small pack.
If you could just hold on there, I have
Michael's team.
And Michael has, interestingly, he has Odong at one. He has Paul Serunjoji, the man you famously call the scavenger, at 2. And he has Asman Mugerwa with Marshall Chamcham, both vying for 3. At 4, he has Romano Gwal, and Ramadan Govule he wasn't so sure. I think he's giving 2 options there. 5, he also has 2 options. He has Okol and Uhuru. 6, he has Musaja and Bahendeka, Roland. 7, he has Oloch, Scott Oloch, with Arthur Mukama, his teammate. 8, he has the man himself, John Musoke, the veteran who is rolled back the years, and a man who takes no prisoners, Andrew Owor. 9, he has, this is a surprise selection, isn't it? Alul, Stephen, with Davis. 10, he has Keremundu and Magomu. 11, Pario and Nijongat. 12, he has Bijik. 13, he has Oscar Kalyango. He says Oscar beat him hands down this season, and he really took some big hits from Oscar in the second leg of Heathens versus Cobs. 14 years Alan Otim and Kimono. 15 years James Odongo, who for me was the find of the season, and Aredo.
So in regard to the scores, I suppose it's a controversial one, and the one we picked is the one we picked, and we'd like the fans to say, you know what, give us your opinions. I mean, it's not like we are giving them money. It's a score that we think those are the players that express themselves in their positions, in their teams, in the context of the season across the 14-week season.
I think the big talking point is number 8, why you opted to go with Musoke and not Scott Oloch, who are the blind of the season.
Okay, if I talk about the background to making that decision, some people's shirts were torn, there was blood. But John Musoke edged it on the fact that he was more versatile. And he was playing behind a pack that was not moving forward. So as a number 8, if your pack is moving forward, you'll have a summer day. It's a day in the sun. But if your pack is going backwards, you're coming behind, you need to put your team on the front foot. And John Musoke did that every time for his team. And when he played, they won matches. Fine, Scott Oloch was outstanding. I mean, as I said, if he's not on your team, you'd rather buy him and put him on the bench because he'll damage you from the other side. You know, but it was a close one, and it's not a downplay on Scott's contribution to Cobs.
And the other big, talking point was 14, going with Justin Kimono ahead of Eric Kasita, who had more than decent season
for Buffaloes. Yes, like David mentioned, a few shots were torn while trying to agree on the team, and I think it reached a point that within us, like you mentioned them, I think it was number 1, number 8, and number 14. We failed to agree, and I won't mention the name, but we looked at a person out there who's captained the team and knows rugby to her best, and we said, look, we have a tiebreaker here, and she also put in advice. But when you talk about Justin Kimono, really, we were even clear on the selection. We said it's purely on statistics. You want a winger, most thing you want from a winger is tries. It's actually the basics you want from a winger. And Kimono has 22 tries. Okay, you might say 9 came against Lira Bulls, home and away. But the fact still remains there were tries. And you have his opposite winger making 2 tries in a season, who also played against Lira Bulls. And I mean, other players also featured against Lira, none made the 9 tries. It still shows you that Kimono has something in him. When he wakes up, he's that live wire. And really, we thought he still suits for 14.
Okay, and David, very briefly, Aredo ahead of Odong.
Yeah, that was another controversial one. I think, as you said, James was the find of the season. Aredo just showed up, and I think for me this season what he brought was his decision making from the back. His stability that he gave Cobs, his ability to start tries, to start play from 15, was something that he didn't have too much of in the previous season. I think his confidence has grown. So the fact that he's on a winning team, I think also helps. So if you're on team number 1, it's easier to get selected than if you're team number 4. So
although that didn't give Govule a look in, did it?
Govule, I think, as I said, again, the front row. In open play, he was massive. But the lock, what you want from a lock is the line-out handling and the dirty work in the rucks, the ruck and roll, as you would say. And Govule did not feature heavily there. So you're almost thinking that next season they'll probably play him in the backs.
Okay, well, the fans, they could get in touch with us using the Ruck and Roll hashtag. I'm sure most of them have their own best 15 side, that they could hit us up with. This team is from fan zone, right?
Correct. And we do not select the national team. So whoever is out there, let them know we don't select the national team. This is just an opinion. Of
someone on social media is telling me, the next time round we're doing this, couldn't we involve the coaches and have them select sort of what UEFA does, or should I say FIFA does with the Ballon d'Or? Have the coaches actively involved, let them pick.
And I think that's what happens when they choose the player of the season. And that's the concern of the Uganda Rugby Union. I think that's their mandate, and we shouldn't take it away from them.
Okay. That's it from this edition of Ruck and Roll. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.